Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take It from the Iron Woman. We've spoken to Kate before. She is a coach, an author, and she is a consultant to hospitality. Let's hear from her about leadership in the hospitality industry. What has changed now? How do you see then the leadership? Like, how did the leadership adapt to the new situation? And do you see, are the smaller companies better than the bigger companies, or what have you seen?
Well, I feel like the bigger companies, what they're challenged with is that their leadership now is sometimes work from home, whereas restaurants are, normally every leader is on property, boots on the ground, up until CEO level, CFO level. But now you have even more people working from home because it's better. Less people in the operation is better. And so how do you get hands-on leaders understand how to impact their teams when they're remote? And how do you communicate your leadership team? You keep that going when it's not what we would say like in the moment, passing by, hey, something's happening. It's now you have to be very intentional in terms of your communication because it's all digital or some sort of digital, whether that's email, text, or video call. That's been sort of one of the challenges that it seems to be somewhat universal.
I think it's universal. It's not only in the hospitality business. I think especially in the hospitality, you had to be there. It's about presence. And now we have to be very careful on not spreading and be creative.
And something I've seen too is that in hospitality, people are hospitable, meaning, and this comes up a lot in my coaching, is that people have a huge amount of empathy, and that's a wonderful thing. But where it becomes challenging is when it prevents you from making decisions for your business, right? Sometimes you have to calm down the empathy because you have to make a very difficult decision for your business. And I think where I've seen the empathy, it's not been problematic. It's actually just been engaged so intensely is I've had people tell me that they've had to have very tough decisions when we're talking about people who they're getting sick. So they've had to talk to people about their health and check in to make sure that they're recovering or they're feeling better. I had a colleague who had to talk to her team when one of the team members passed away. I mean, they're dealing with communicating on a level, at an intimate level and a caring level that they've never had to do before. No one's ever had to do before. And I think it's that empathy part that is, it's not getting burnt out, but it's like people are feeling it a lot. And so it's that just even hospitality business, the best hospitality start with empathy towards their teams. And when you can't keep your team going and you've spent so much time with them, and you've got to make the decision to let people go, it's incredibly for the leaders that have had to make those decisions.
It's very tough. I mean, letting go of people is never something you want to do.
No.
And everybody understands it's a business decision. But when it comes to your position, it's very private and personal. And how do you pay the rent? These are tough situations. Have you seen any highlights, like something positive that comes out of this? I mean, you mentioned changing, takeout in terms of what we can learn from leadership.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, in terms of understanding what's recession proof is kind of a cool thing. So if we relate it to food and restaurants, like I was talking to someone the other day and they have a cookie company and they realize their business is recession proof. Like people actually eat more cookies during a recession, during a pandemic. And so I would say, if I liken that to leadership, what are the cookies? What are the things that are sort of pandemic proof in your business? What are the sweet spot, if you will, for you connecting with your teams? I think that would be the thing, because what I've talked about with my clients is that they have to be much more intentional with their teams. They have to be much more intentional about their communication. They have to be much more careful because everything now is in an email or a text. I don't mean careful like you better watch yourself, more like thoughtful, because someone's going to read what you're saying and they'll go back to it if they don't understand it and read it again. So you really want to be thoughtful about the way you're communicating and connecting with people. I think that would be the thing, is keep some of that stuff, because I think these are all incredible leadership lessons and leadership skills that if you can develop it now and keep that going, it can only strengthen you as a leader.
I think so. And maybe listen to the team. If somebody comes up and says, hey, I have an idea. Yes. Maybe before you would have said, no, I don't think that's working. But now you're like, well, let's look at this. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I feel like people are more open in that way because they don't have all the answers, and it's been proven nobody has the answers. So when somebody does say, excuse me, can I just say something? People are more open, which is cool. I like that a lot.
I remember in the days before the pandemic, didn't they use restaurants as co-working spaces? Because the restaurants were not open till, let's say, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. People who needed the space. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, I used to work with one of those companies because, hey, I love restaurants. You know what I mean? Restaurants, it kind of made sense. But it was, talk about disruption. What a great way to utilize space and help out these businesses while providing something unique and different for tons and tons and tons of people who are seeking to get out of their homes. I'll be curious to see what the next iteration of work, not work from home, but work out of your home, like get out of your home. Where are you going to work?
That would be my next question. What's the magic wand? Kate, you have an answer, a vision. What is your vision? What is the perfect vision for you? What are the trends? What crazy idea do you have that you might think, wow, maybe that could work? Or you don't want to give it away?
Oh, I don't really have any predictions per se right now, but what I do see is that, so for instance, in hospitality, there has been less, it's not a white collar industry. And in white collar industries, they understand that it's all about leadership and they support the leaders more and more. What I'm seeing in hospitality, where leadership happens, we need it, but we don't necessarily focus on it in the same way. What I see is that businesses are more aware that they've put a lot on their leaders' plates because they've had to maybe make their team a little smaller. So they're giving their managers and leaders more to do. And I see now that people are looking to support them more. And I think that's a wonderful adjustment and change. My prediction would be, I hope that more hospitality businesses continue to focus on their leaders, because that is at the heart of it. That's the success of your business. And it helps you. If you've got strong leaders, they're a good model for the next generation who can come up. And in hospitality, we generally, what would you say, recruit from within. So to have a good model and then replicate that model, live a dream.
And I have some other questions for you. What is your favorite food?
Anything vegetable, I would say. I can't say I have one favorite, but anything vegetable-y I like.
And I know I follow you and I see sometimes you're experimenting and I'm like, oh, I would love to try that out too. Because I know some people, when you invite the people to your house and you're like, oh, you come from the hospitality, they don't like to, how can I say, cook, because I'm like, I'm not a chef. So I think it's intimidating. I remember I have a friend, and actually both a couple there in the hospitality. He's a chef and she grew up in a restaurant. And one time I was like, oh, let me take out my book, my Swiss Betty Bossi book. This is kind of like the Betty Crocker in the US. And I thought like, oh, let me make a souffle. And little did I know, and it came out fairly good because he said, this is really good. And little did I know, this is actually one of the hardest things to make. So
well done. Ignorance is bliss, right?
Yeah. Or like a rookie mistake, right? Maybe the first time it comes out good and the next time, disaster. Kate, thank you so much. It's a pleasure always to talk to you, and good luck with everything and anything. There's so many insights that I gained, like changing the model, having more pickup, delivery. I think that's the way to go. And people need to eat healthy, but we also need the cookies, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's always room for cookies.
I think so. Yeah. Thank you so much and good luck with everything.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Kate, for your insights. And it is all about leadership, communication, and teamwork, especially when you work in a smaller room. And now is the time to be disruptive. Listen to ideas. Somebody might have an idea and you think like, if you just have an inkling, follow that idea. Now is the time. If not now, then when? And also, if you don't do it, Somebody else might take up your idea and they make millions. It could be you. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes every Monday, every Wednesday. Don't miss out. There's something for everybody. And we feature exciting, fascinating, sophisticated people. Don't miss out. And Take It From the Iron Woman, again, is a book about global business coaching with sports parallels. Who isn't fascinated by sports? We can transfer that into the business. Read about my experiences from the airline, coming to New York and Kilimanjaro and running 26 marathon races. Something for everybody, and see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Ciao.